Hi, Bobcats. In this section, we're going to take a look at the concept of risks and benefits. Every decision that we make has both risks and benefits associated with it. And in real life, many of the decisions that we make aren't necessarily clear-cut, and it can be actually pretty challenging to determine if the risks outweigh the benefits or if the benefits outweigh the risks. But these are decisions, or this is a part of the decision-making process that we use every day. Our main objective for this section is to analyze the risks and benefits that accompany every decision we make. So, to define benefits and risks, benefits are the good things that come about from a decision. They're the things that have a positive effect. And then risks are the things that are the negative consequences of these decisions we make, things like losses or even injuries. I'd like to propose this question. Chloramphenicol is a powerful antibacterial drug that's often used as a treatment of last resort. It is highly dangerous to some individuals, causing death in about 1 in 30,000 people who take it. But the big benefit of it is that it will destroy bacteria that have been unaffected by other antibiotic type drugs. So think about the risks and benefits of administering chloramphenicol if you have a bunch of sick farm animals, such as dairy cows, and their milk might possibly still contain residues of the drug. So pause the video for a moment, take a second to think about that and decide, do you think the risks outweigh the benefits? And do the benefits outweigh the risks? Is it even? What do you think about this? Okay, when I do this in class, in a face-to-face class, I normally do this one as a clicker question, and I get more people saying that the risks outweigh the benefits here. It should not be administered to the animals if potentially the milk from those animals would be consumed by humans. But now let's look at how that analysis might change in a different situation. What if you have been diagnosed with a disease that is going to very likely kill you or have a permanent disabling effect on you, and you've been trying every other possible antibiotic or antibacterial drug and none of them are working? In this situation, would you be willing to try chloramphenicol, knowing that about 1 in 30,000 people will die after taking this drug? Well, in class, when I pose this, the numbers typically flip, and we usually have more people saying, in this scenario, the risk is worth it, or so the benefits outweigh the risks. So that risk-benefit analysis is very situational, and it will change as your situation changes. I'd like for you to take a moment and read this article from the Austin American-Statesman from a couple years back. This article was published when the Chipotle restaurant chain was experiencing some difficulty with some E. coli outbreaks. And this article was written in response to that to provide kind of a different way of looking at the situation. So please pause this video, take a look at this link, and as you're reading through it, I'd like for you to think about risks and benefits. Okay, now that you've read that article, let's take a look at the benefits versus the risks of organic food. So on the benefits side, we're going to have things like typically organic food or organic produce like they would use at Chipotle is fresher, because part of the whole organic deal is you're trying to get things from farm to table as quickly as possible so that you don't need to use preservatives. Because they're fresher, organic foods may have a higher nutritional value. Certain nutrients start to decompose the moment a plant is harvested. So let's see, higher nutrient value. So the fresher something is, the greater the concentration of those nutrients in it. Also with organic foods, some of the other benefits is that there will be no residue from chemical fertilizers, pesticides, fungicides, so no residue from chemical treatments. Okay, you can probably go on and list a bunch of other benefits, but let's take a look at the risks, because while we do have these benefits of organic produce, there also are a number of risks that go with this, as this article pointed out. Almost invariably, when I do this in a face-to-face class, somebody points out as one of the risks of organic food, the cost. The cost of organic is typically higher than of processed food. And one of the risks, and the one that popped up in the case of the Chipotle restaurant chain, is E. coli, right? So E. coli is a naturally occurring bacteria. Certain strains of it cause all sorts of digestive difficulties in humans. And E. coli may be introduced to the organic food simply by the use of organic fertilizers or poop. And just like with the chemical fertilizers, the E. coli generally can be washed off as long as the food is washed properly. And with what came out with the E. coli outbreak at Chipotle was that there were some questions about how well the produce was being washed. And one of the things that Chipotle did after all of this was move from having each store individually source local produce and then process, wash, chop the food themselves, to having a little bit of centralization in a region for sourcing that produce, and then for appropriately cleaning the produce before shipping it to the individual stores. So, if you look just at the benefits of something like organic food, it may look like, oh yeah, this is the best way to go. But you also have all of these risks that are associated. There is no choice in real life that is risk-free, where it's all benefits and no risks. And that's really the point that I'd like for you to walk away from this section with. To circle back around to our objective, we want to analyze the risks and benefits that accompany every decision. So hopefully you've thought a little bit about that during this presentation. And this wraps up our look at science in general for this chapter. In the next section, we're going to transition to some specific chemistry topics.